2020, welcome back to the Stephen Sulley study. Hope you had a nice break. I hope you enjoy Christmas and the new year. And most importantly, I hope you're enthusiastic and super excited about 2020. If you're anything like me, you probably would have set goals. You would have probably set some targets for you, your family, and also your businesses. And therefore, you should be definitely poised to make a mark in the next few weeks, next few months, and really achieve some of those goals and make definitely some cover some ground. Part of growing and maturing and achieving your vision and you know your goals is definitely taking action, but most importantly is getting that education. Being educated will give you that motivation, inspiration to take some sort of action. As you well know, the cliche saying goes, information is power, and the part that we add is providing you know what to do with it. I've never wanted to give the impression that I'm coming onto a podcast, I'm coming onto social media, or I'm doing a presentation and preaching to anyone. I don't feel I'm qualified, eligible enough to stand here and preach to anybody until I'm a billionaire, and then at that point, you can bet anything you like. I'll be standing preaching because I would feel at that point I'm qualified to say my bit to you. But in my life, I've had successes and I've definitely had setbacks, and everything I share is just my perception of things and my view. I'm not saying it's right, I'm not saying it's wrong, it's just my take on things. I'm 34 years of age, I feel like I've learned, and most importantly, I continue to learn every single day. Whether my information that you get from me is something that is to your taste, or whether you feel it's right or wrong, some of the sound bites I'm going to share with you are passed on from other people, and I'm just sharing it with you. So if that resonates with you, then you can implement it into your day. But if you're getting information from anywhere, no matter whether you're reading books, listening to mentors, or subscribing to podcasts or YouTube channels, if you're getting this information and not implementing it, you're kind of missing a trick there, and also you're wasting a bit of time. So on that note, I listen to a lot of podcasts regularly, more so than reading books recently, just because I find I'm on the move a lot of the time. One of my favourite podcasts to listen to is a podcast called Secret Leaders. Secret Leaders is run by, I think, two chats, but predominantly by a guy called Dan Murray. There was a recent podcast episode on Series 4, which was called Funding and Financing Startups. Now, as you well know, my background is in sales, and I've raised money for projects and products over many years, and even still today I have a hand in it. But I believe anything that you do in life is a sale. You're conditioning your family or your children. I've got a son, and it's about education and conditioning them to live a certain way, the right way, or a way that you believe is the right way. If you've got a sales team, if you've got a company, if you've got staff, if you've got, I don't know, like anything you go into, there is a form of sales. So I believe if you can learn sales, I believe you got a massive advantage over most other people. I recently, in the last couple of years, had to raise money for our tech company called Mimboso, 200,000, which was the first round. And I can tell you this, had I not been in sales, had I not learned closing, had I not had that experience, I would have found it damn hard to walk into multiple meetings and try to do a presentation on probably one of the most riskiest sectors to be in. Tech is predominantly known for a huge amount of success. Of course, you've got the Instagrams, the Facebooks, the Twitters, which are worth billions and billions of dollars. But there are so many companies out there that fall by the wayside every single week, and they just lose money. And a lot of investors, venture capitalists, they siphon a lot of money and they lose it in these tech companies. So to go in there and pitch basically a concept which hasn't really got a revenue model is a tough thing to do. and I managed to close the deal after many different meetings, and even I had a couple of times where we even end up in BT Sports in Stratford, and we almost had a deal that was on the table, and then that also fell by the wayside. So closing and sales gives you that resilience. It gives you you learn the art of listening, and most importantly, when you should be executing a presentation at which point, and hearing how they're responding. Anyway, let me bring you back to the point. So this particular podcast I listened to by Secret Leaders was a Q&A or a talk with 3 founders of 3 very successful companies. The first guy, a guy called David Buttress. He's the ex-CEO of Just Eat. I believe that company was sold for roughly about $5 billion or pounds. I'm not so sure how accurate that is, so I'll need to go back and check that. But I know the company was bought, and I know he made a shit ton of money from it. He's a Welsh guy. The second person, who is a co-founder to Resi, is a lady called Depledge, I think it is. Depledge. I think that's how you pronounce it. Very enthusiastic lady. And then the other lady is a lady called Boden. She is the founder of Starling Bank. What these have all got in common is they're not just massive companies which are worth tens of millions, hundreds of millions, or if not billions and billions of pounds. But most importantly, they've all had to raise money. So what does that mean? They're all closers, and they all understand the fundamental importance of knowing sales and knowing how to do a sales presentation and the importance of selling. I know many other mentors, people that do podcasts, including Rob Moore, label on the fact that in the UK that sales is a bit of a dirty kind of sector or a dirty kind of phrase or word to use. In actual fact, in other parts of the world like America, it's hugely celebrated because we understand one thing: nothing happens without a sale. You could have the best company in the world, but if you don't have a sales team, marketing strategy behind it, it's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to get off the ground. So these 3 individuals, they've all had to raise money, and they all had major setbacks before they actually got the money. So I've picked out 6 different quotes, 2 from each of the guests, that I want to say, and then I want to elaborate on to tell you why I picked out these particular quotes or these particular things that they said. I'm going to start with the first one. It's from the lady from Starling Bank, Anne Boden. She said, people can smell desperation when you're looking for money. Now, what I took from that is going back to my, let's say, my background, and also I have a hand in a sales company at the moment, is if you're kind of halfway through the month as a salesperson and you've not got a pipeline, if you've got no real scope of getting money in immediately, or you are unprepared, you are coming into work late, you're not eating, you're not training, you're not doing all the things outside of work, and you're not putting the effort in before work, after work, on the weekends, then basically you become, rather than under professional amount of pressure, which is different to being stressed, then you become desperate. And as you all know, desperate people start taking desperate measures. They start saying things which are lies or wrong. They start doing things which is incongruent to your brand, to who you are as a individual, your identity. You start doing things which could be even illegal, incriminating you. And the point I'm going to try and make here is, when you're someone who is looking for money but you don't come across desperate, it's because you're prepared and you've got a pipeline. You know, you've been working hard, and that effort of working hard will just come over to people in an organic way. So desperation, people can feel when you're desperate because you're frantic, you're getting aggressive, you're being short with people, you might become sarcastic. These are all things to suggest you're not prepared, and most importantly, you're becoming desperate. So I would honestly look at yourself, regardless whether you're in direct sales or you've just got a business which has sales as an element to it. Look at how prepared you're being every single day. Are you mapping out your year? Are you really preparing for success? Because you need to prepare for it. And if you're not, you're going to probably come across desperate. Next one. Raising money. This is what she said on one of the other points. Raising money, you need to be resilient. Now, we all know one thing. In sales, there is a huge amount of no's and rejection that you're going to get. Don't get into sales if you can't handle rejection, or get into it, but learn how to deal with it. When people say no, or I'm not interested, or it's not for me, or I don't know enough about it, or they start even being sometimes quite abusive, the very, very easy thing to do is get angry. People that get angry and lose their shit and lose their cool, they are in that moment, I'm not saying all the time, but in that moment are being weak. You need to stay composed. You need to plan your work and work your plan. So working your plan doesn't involve you getting angry and getting stroppy with that person. You have to understand as well that if that person says no, it doesn't mean they don't have a network of people that could say yes. So if you fuck up that lead and burn it, it simply means that you're going to burn that whole entire network that they could have. They could have 20 people, 30 people, 50 people, 100 people that are all suitable and eligible for your product, which they may hand to you over the next few days, weeks or months or years, but you're going to fuck it up by becoming angry. So you need to build up a resilience. I've always said to you one thing. I box, I love training and I love sport, but boxing and fighting in a controlled environment, of course, not on the street, is something I love because you build up a resilience. If you can take a few punches in the ring and you can hold your own and you can stay composed, then I believe on a sales call you can build up that resilience and you can actually weather the storm when you need to. Right, next one, David Buttress. There is another interview with him on Secret Leaders on one of their other series where it's just him talking about the journey. I suggest you definitely watch or listen to it. It's absolutely fantastic. A Welsh guy coming up with this tech company concept, going around pitching different kebab shops and different restaurants, and now turning himself into, I believe, a billionaire is fantastic. I love hearing stories like this and I get very, very inspired. This is what he said. If you really believe in your business, then you will find a way. I think that is so fucking powerful. I'll tell you why. A lot of people will blame why they haven't achieved a certain amount of success or goals or vision or amount of money on something which is outside of their control. And they will heavily lean on the fact that it's a season, it's this person, it's that person, it's the marketplace, it's, X, Y, Z, and it's all bullshit. If you really believe in yourself, your product, and most importantly, your company, you will find a way. You will find a way to do it. I know companies that had no money when they started. They picked up Yellow Pages, used Yellow Pages as a lead source. I'm not saying it's the most legal way of doing things, but they come resourceful and they actually raise money out of Yellow Pages. Trust me, if you have got the burning desire to become a self-made billionaire, millionaire, or whatever, someone that is going to make a mark in this world, you will find a way. So, if you believe in your business, you'll find a way. Next one. Raising money was a fun challenge. Now, what I love about this is when people are going into a sales call, they get a bit nervous, they become a bit edgy, and sometimes they become a bit scared. And they see it as a bit stressful raising money. Well, in actual fact, if you reprogram your mind and you take your view on it as it's a fun challenge, then that's going to come across in your sales presentation. It's going to come across to your team. It's going to come across to your investors. It's going to come across to your clients. It's going to come across to venture capitalists. If you're going to start a company, depending on what sector it's in, you're going to probably want to scale it. You want to probably it to be the best version it can be and the most successful company it can be. So part of that is getting clients on board. You might be bootstrapping the company, but a lot of the time, you're going to probably want to get outside investors. So seeing it as a fun challenge rather than a big, daunting mountain to climb, which is going to bring stress and anxiety to your life, flip it. Reframe it. Say it's going to be one of the most exciting journeys you're ever going to go down, and you're going to thrive and relish the chance of pitching a certain amount of people, because that's the only way you're going to stay motivated when it comes down to raising money. Next one, Anne Boden from Resi. I don't actually know what that company does, but anyway, she said when you're pitching, narrate a story because they buy you. Narrate a story because they buy you. The best salespeople I've ever had the pleasure of being around and in their presence are fantastic storytellers. Get your story across to people, because at the end of the day, whether you're selling a product, a system, a service, or you're trying to get someone to buy into your company or loan you money, they like to buy humans. So they want to feel a human story. Narrate your story, how you got to this position and where the company's going. And therefore, people are more likely to be standing there with you in your mind as you put them through this story and you narrate it. The last one, probably one of the most important messages you're going to hear, and I've said this a few times, but she said it, which is this: you need high energy. If people feel that you're a boring cunt and what you're saying is completely flat and you've got a complete monotone to your voice, people are going to switch off. You could have the best product in the world. You could have something that can make people double their money, triple their money in hours, and it could be a legitimate thing, and people still ain't going to buy it because they're not excited. Remember, the definition of a sale is a transfer of enthusiasm. Get excited, get energized, and get enthusiastic. That is the only way people are going to buy into you. Fuck everything else for the time being. I'm not saying it's not important, but if you're going to focus on one thing this year in 2020 to achieve your goals, it's high amount of energy. How do you get high amount of energy? You are in tune with your goals. You believe in your goals. You're fixed on your goals. You're thriving you're thriving with that momentum of energy, and you're really locked into what you want out of life and who you want to become. You've got an identity, you built a culture. Also, things are going to help is training, nutrition, resting, water, all that kind of stuff, cutting out all the bollocks, like smoking, drugs, sugar, salt, alcohol, all that kind of stuff, which is going to prevent you from achieving your goals. You need high energy, people. Your family will feel it, your staff will feel it, your clients will feel it, everybody around you will feel it. So have high energy. Guys, this year could be the best year of your life or could be the worst, and it's in your hands. I know I'm going to give you a third quote here, but it's an important one. Anne always also said that most people plan their wedding but not their marriage, and it's very, very true in life. Most people plan a holiday or a trip for 2 weeks, and they forget to plan most of the year and most of their life. I've got a couple of good trips coming up this year and I'm very excited by them. But trust me, what overrides all those things is the achievements and how I'm going to grow and what I'm going to do this year above holidays and trips. Look, those things will come later on private jets, yachts and all that kind of stuff. That's all great. That's going to come. It's a matter of time. But the thing that's really getting me excited is achieving certain things. Boxing, doing more podcasts, getting more great interviews in, expanding my network, making money, getting fit, having experiences with my family. Planning all these kind of things so you've got continuous momentum rather than having one goal like a trip. You get to that trip, you enjoy it, you come back and then you're flat. What the fuck's the point in that? It's all about having that next thing you're going to bolt yourself into and drive towards. Guys, I hope you got a lot of value from this. My name is Stephen Sulley. Find me on Instagram, Facebook. I think I'm on a couple other platforms that I've got a company running for me at the moment. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, my podcast. Leave a comment, leave a review. Recommend me to friends and family. And most importantly, guys and females, be happy, never content.